Hey everyone, this is Dave from the Adobe Character Animator team, and in this video, I'm going to have a chat with my friends Jon and Emily Watts. They run the Watts' Animation Studio here in California. It's a husband and wife team, and they do incredible work. And one of the coolest things is they are using Character Animator in just about every project they are doing. So we get a lot of questions about, I see in the YouTube comments about, hey, how can I find, clients that want Character Animator or freelance Character Animator work? Well, if that's a question you have, this is a great thing to watch because they're going to go through all of that and how they've landed, clients like Nickelodeon and GoldieBlox and others. So there's a lot of great tips throughout this conversation. It was really fun to talk to them, and I hope it is informative and inspiring to you as well. All right, let's take a look. Hey everyone, I'm here with Jon and Emily Watts from the Watts' Animation Studio. How is it going, guys?
Hello, Dave. Good to see you.
Hey, Dave. It's going good.
For those people out there who do not know you all or what you do, can you give kind of a summary of the kind of work and what you're up to and where you live and what your favorite food is and all that stuff?
Yeah. We run an animation company out of Santa Monica, California. The Wattses, creatively named. I'm Emily Watts, and this is my husband, Jonathan Watts. And we work primarily, almost entirely with Adobe Character Animator. I would say that's 90% of the products we produce, with a little bit of Blender for some 3D modeling on Jonathan's side, but and some After Effects, but 90% of the work, I would say, is through Adobe Character Animator.
And our favorite food is Mexican food, I would say.
Probably, but I'm a very devoted boba drinker.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite type of boba?
Definitely taro.
Okay. I'm brown sugar, but everyone else in my household is honeydew, so yeah. Okay.
Brown sugar is good too.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Now that we've got that all figured out.
It's working.
So 90% of your work, Character Animator, that's incredible. When did you, can you remember when you first heard about Character Animator, when you first started using it? What drew you to Character Animator as a tool?
I'll kick that one off. I think it was about 8 years ago-ish. I think it was maybe Character Animator had been out 2 or 3 years at this point. And we stumbled upon it I think I was trying to make an animated GIF and was looking at how can I make a really easy animation? And I was struggling with Photoshop doing it. And so I was looking up just easy animation tools for people who don't know how to animate or whatever. and then Adobe Character Animator popped up. So it came up from, I don't know how to animate at all, give me something I can use, to, years down the road being, we're using the tool very professionally on shows and on advertising and on streaming programming, in a very professional way. So it's been a journey.
And I remember the first time I heard of you all was a video series you did called The Weather Girls. And I found it, I don't remember how I found it exactly, but I saw it, and there were these little cartoon shorts about these girls wanting to be weather people. And it was just really cute and funny, and it just had a great style to it. And I think we reached out and said, hey, we're putting you in our community spotlight episode. And then one thing led to another, and now you help make puppets for us, some of the example puppets, and plenty of other character projects you have. But how was that initial process of using it for the Weather Girls?
That was initially based on some home videos that my sisters and I did when we were kids. And it was me just wanting to take that, just those stories and put it in a fun new format. And so it was also just kind of learning the tool and having something that I could have a goal with. So it wasn't just, it was mostly going through the OK Samurai tutorials of yours step by step.
That guy's overrated. I don't know.
Having a goal to apply them to, instead of just watching the videos, but saying, I'm going to watch this video and then I'm going to make a 1-minute video using whatever Dave did in that video. Okay, now there's Lim IK. Let me add Lim IK to these puppets and make another 1-minute video. And so, it was kind of more just a personal learning process, but it did get, it got a little bit of attention and a little bit of traction. And sometimes that's all you need. It never had millions of followers. It did not get, and I didn't produce it at the speed of trying to get, a following there. But it was enough to get an idea out there and get the creativity out there to where it did open a lot of doors after that. So we met a woman from Renegade Animation, a studio here in LA, at Comic-Con, and she had just seen the show and thought it was charming. And so then we ended up, through her studio, going and pitching not just the Weather Girls, but a couple other animated concepts that we had come up with. And so from that, that little just like putting something out there and giving it a shot, it wasn't perfect. I think it might all still be up there too. It's not the best animation, but it has like story from my heart, and it was enough. We pitched to Amazon. I'm not saying these names to like big time because we unsuccessfully pitched to Amazon, Netflix, Sony, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network. I mean, we ran, just did the whole circuit.
The first ones we made were a lot more amateur than the ones that are up there now.
Yeah, so Jon, if you are just getting started, put whatever you can do. Put whatever you, there is charm in simplicity, and there's charm in, I think, in things that don't look uber polished necessarily. And over time, it will get more polished and it will get better. But I think the key is not being afraid to put whatever it is you can accomplish at this time out there to be seen.
I 100% agree. I think I see that a lot and I even run into this sometimes where it's like, you see the quality of stuff out there in the world, and when you make something and it doesn't quite hit that level, you're like, I should have just give up, or it's not worth the time and effort. And I feel the exact same way. Like, you just have to do it and set that goal for yourself. I'm going to make a 1-minute cartoon about this, concept from my childhood and put it out there into the world. And it's not perfect, and you might look back on it with, cringe a little bit, but look what it did. It opened some of these doors to get you into this place, that you are now. And so I completely agree with that. I think it's the best thing you can do is just keep creating, keep making stuff, put it out there into the world. And you don't even have to attach your name to it if you don't want to, right? You can just throw it out there and get it out there. Yeah.
Well, and some of those things now that get picked up or that get successful, they're not at a level that is
totally.
They're not paying attention to their tweens. And some of the stuff that I watch on Instagram that have millions of followers are just kind of jumpy, basic animations, and they're getting action and, funding and stuff.
I think that's the beauty of animation, right? Is there's no one gatekeeper to say this is how animation has to look. It's like you have from South Park paper cut, to stop motion, Stupid Buddy Studios, to all sorts of different things 2D, 3D, various quality levels there. And even just I see pretty basic animation stuff on YouTube that again is getting millions of views as well. So your animation and your drawing and your style is like your handwriting. It's unique to you, that quality, and what's your perspective, and that's something that you can kind of throw out into the world and really stand out from everyone else. And that's kind of a cool thing with animation. Yeah.
When we were making the Weather Girls, we had to capture wonderful sound quality, right? We had to if you got stuck on a script, that was it. And now all of these tools, I think Adobe has this cool thing that kind of will up your audio quality.
Yeah,
so you
enhanced speech, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's I got all these expensive microphones that are useless now. Not useless.
But not as critical. We don't have to use we built a whole insulated with what was that, rock wool in a closet in our house, a booth. And so you don't need that anymore.
So okay, now I can record into my phone and run it through software. If I get stuck on a script, I wouldn't use
Claude to help you.
Claude or ChatGPT for a whole script, but if I need some ideas, I'll bounce them off.
Snappy lines of dialogue.
Yeah, you can. I actually think the time is coming to where you can use your voice, run it through stuff, and get other characters from your own voice.
Yeah.
And so I think that the day is coming to where a person or maybe 3 or 4 people are going to be able to make a show, and people are going to watch it, and that success is going to be meaningful. A lot of social media is about quantity. It's in the old school, Nickelodeon and Comedy Central and all that stuff. It's you could put out 12 episodes and everyone would be happy with that. But social media, they want stuff every day, every other day.
So speaking of every day, if I remember correctly, you worked on a daily horoscope show for Quibi, the short-lived vertical video stream. Yeah, yes, exactly, service. And if I remember correctly, you were using Character Animator to do that, right? To help create those episodes. What was that experience like?
It was entirely Character Animator, and it wasn't just vertical. They called it turnstile, so we had to be able to, at any point in the episode, if someone turned their phone, it had to immediately react. So basically, we had to make not just all 12 horoscope signs, like a 3-minute, 2-minute horoscope animated video for all 12 horoscope signs every day. We actually had to make 2 because there had to be, we made it in widescreen, and then there had to be a cut that was following the vertical.
Gotcha.
So we had 24 animators. There were 24 of us. And so each 2 of us shared, 2 of us would be on Pisces. And so every other day, one of us would be responsible for us. So I'd be Monday Pisces, then there's Tuesday Pisces, I'm Wednesday Pisces. And it was challenging, but possible because of Character Animator.
And I think the key, to me, the success from that show was we used the core Character Animator functionality. And then we had these animated cycle layers to have specialized motions that added panache to the animation. There would be one where they pull their phone out, because they did that in every episode.
A lot. They were
sure.
on the phone a lot.
And had Quibi taken off, I think that show would have been.
It was
really
funny.
funny.
It was actually very funny. It was well written.
Yeah.
On that, and it was in the top 3 actually of all of Quibi.
There you go. Wow.
Shows like Kristen Teigen. They had good shows on there.
Dozens of people watched.
We were in the top 3. That's what you say.
Okay.
It's a top 3 Quibi show.
There you go. Put it on your LinkedIn profiles. That's yeah.
Little effects. The little you put one little reach in the pocket animation, and we used it a lot, but it really made it look very, very custom and very, almost traditionally animated. Just tiny little things like that made a big difference.
I see that a lot. It's you create a character, and then once you've rigged it, you've got the basics, and you've got this library of stuff, and you can keep adding to it to bring certain things in, and it just feels like it helps the character feel more alive and lived in. I think when I see people just starting out with Character Animator, you get just the talking head and it's slightly moving back and forth, and maybe a very clear dragged arm gesture, every once in a while. So I know you also have worked a bunch with Nickelodeon, and I think there were a few things they were tuned in, and the Big Nate, among others. Do you want to talk a little bit about your relationship working with them and what that was like?
Yeah, so Tuned In was a game show that was hosted with an animated cartoon robot. And so we would have 3 kids in every episode, would answer questions from the robot, and then if they got them wrong, they would dump slime on them. And there was a voice actor behind the scenes. And so we would take his camera feed, run it through Character Animator, add some expression data on it.
Replays.
Do animated replays, and then kids could interact with this animated character in real time, which was awesome.
They were initially going to use Snapchat. So they had made a Snapchat filter.
Oh, wow.
Decided that, I think they had gone through pre-production. So they're with Snapchat, right? And then it just got to the point where Snapchat couldn't quite do everything they wanted to do. They wanted to be able to spin around and do some custom animations and change costumes. Just things that Character Animator can do that Snapchat couldn't. It was just going to be talking head, and it seemed like in their tests, I guess, it was playing a little more boring. So they just wanted a little more. I think it's worth noting, because we make a distinction between what's a pro tool and what's not a professional, what's a consumer grade software.
Sure.
And that line, I think, is really blurring. These consumer grade tools are being used more and more in very traditional professional settings. We mentioned SpongeBob. We weren't animating the SpongeBob episodes for the anniversary, but because it was an anniversary celebration, they needed a bunch of just collateral, social media marketing activities, live Q&A at Comic-Con, interstitials between programs. And those are the things that to extend it, they don't, they can't staff their animation team on all of the other ancillary promotional things. So that's where tools like Character Animator can really help get their the quantity of content out that they need.
One of the cool ones we did was Big Nate, because Big Nate is a 3D, like a CG animated property, and and that's really been something that I feel like we've gotten good at, is taking a 3D character and turning that into a character animator asset.
Sure.
And I was, when we first did it, I was like, there's no way this is going to work. We did a test and I was like blown away.
Yeah.
And I think that's been one of the cooler products we've made, I think. Because like that animation is so expensive to produce, and like the programs are expensive, the people are expensive, and like being able to translate that and make that cheaply is awesome. Character animator physics, like if you save a hair petal as a separate layer and you tag it really conveys like this is made in a CG program.
It's true. And the limb IK is character animators limb IK on the legs, the movement.
And one of the other successes I've seen with you all is partnering with GoldieBlox. They've created this Egg Adventurers series for kids. And I was just checking it out today. There is a short that you guys worked on that has 88 million views. This is insane. So like, what has like, I know kids videos on YouTube are big, and like that's a huge market out there, and just, you know, gets a ton of views, but like, what, like that's just insane. Like, what is that process like? She
had a series of their little egg characters, and it's originally a STEM-based learning channel.
Sure.
And she wanted to supplement it with shorts to help grow our audience, because those episodes are really expensive to produce and stuff. So we turned the 3D eggs into character animator puppets and made a series of shorts. And we didn't know what they were going to do, and we landed on like popular music is like, if you just put assets to popular music, it just goes gangbusters. And yeah, I think it's done really well for their channel. I think it's grown their channel like 30-40%. They have some prepackaged movements, and we can kind of take the song, create a basic animation, and do the auto lip sync. And they're super fast and they're fun to watch. And I think it's turned out really well.
Yeah, I think that's the key, is because they're super fast. You don't have to feel overcommitted to the success of any specific one. And so it was that the creator of GoldieBlox, she's so open to test and learn. And she's like, we just got to put it out. You don't know what's going to take off. You don't know what's going to resonate with people. You could probably put the same thing out in a different way, just slightly, and one it gets 8 million views and one gets 10,000. And so just being able to use Character Animator and iterate and try things new. And if it doesn't take off, it's okay. Just move on and try something different. So it really enables a very rapid test and learn cycle, which I think on social media, you've got to keep it fresh and frequent and have a lot of quantity. And then some of it takes off and some of it doesn't. Like low commitment, watching a 15-second short, and then it does draw you in. And then there's this beautiful like STEM content of like, they make little Rube Goldberg machines to solve problems, and they roll down funnels and have pulleys, and it's a cool show. But yeah, I think just giving people just like a fun taste that doesn't have to be a full episode of really complex engineering has been good to bring people in. So I think that's another way Character Animator doesn't have to replace something else you're already doing that is working, but it can really supplement in a promotional way, a social media way, to just expand your world.
It feels like you're creating this ecosystem, right? Where it's like the shorts bring you into the longer form material, and then you get to know these characters. And like, I was watching a short today where the eggs were talking about broccoli versus candy and what you gonna do. And that was a catchy song I had in my head for a little bit. So, but then, it leads you into these other things. I'm seeing the same thing with shorts now. You can, link to a video that it's part of, or, I'll probably do that for this video too. Try it out, test these sorts of things, right? It's it's an interesting new world where these things all kind of go together, and it's not this one monolithic thing that has to be the thing that's out there. It's kind of everything surrounding it too, and it all builds together. And I think you all have done such a good job of that and learned that through, hey, this is how Nickelodeon is promoting things, this is how all these other people are doing things, and it seems like it's a proven working system.
The other thing I'll sometimes see on forums is, I go online and I search on LinkedIn or whatever, Adobe Character Animator jobs or whatever, and I don't see anything, or it's not always like many of the roles that we have gotten in these different opportunities have not been because someone specifically knew they needed Adobe Character Animator to solve their problem. It was they needed animation, or they needed, but the particular client didn't know Adobe Character Animator would be great for that. And so I think kind of when you're looking for opportunities and things to do, there may be a little bit of educating or selling that you kind of do in the process naturally, where you show that you can solve exactly what they need to do using Adobe Character Animator.
Yeah, and you all have a great portfolio. I love it. You've got it, set into 2D work and 3D work, and then you show a wide variety of styles and all these different things you've done, both personal and professional. And it's just a really great mix. I think it's great. Like I remember you've redone the portfolio several times. I remember I've seen the iterations throughout the years, but it's great because it's like I go to that site and I see everything you're capable of. And if I didn't know it was Character Animator, like I don't think I would have made that connection either. It's just there's this wide range of work that you all are doing, and that's I think that's a great way to think about it, because I've heard the exact same thing from people. Like I'm searching for Character Animator, experts or Character Animator specific jobs, and it's like, no, that's not really the right way to go about it. I mean, we are still the new kid on the block, right? Like we're not After Effects, we're not Premiere Pro, we can't animate, we can't compete with those guys, but it's really the quality of the work in the portfolio that seems to really be the draw for getting those opportunities.
But the other thing I cannot emphasize enough is like this all started just because we wanted to make something and we just did it. And it's like too often I think people think of my portfolio has to be professional work. It has to be it doesn't. Like people are able to see past that and see like, they made this thing, they're capable of doing this work, and it'll get you professional jobs just as much as a professional portfolio would. If you can learn just the basics of After Effects, it is such a powerful combination with Character Animator. It is like that is the best time I've ever spent is learning just slight keyframing in After Effects. It's makes it so much more powerful. The most valuable thing I've ever learned, I used to watch this show with my kids called Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Oh yeah.
Which is like a 3D. I don't know if it's like still a thing anymore. My girls are older now, but like I noticed in that show, every single time they speak, they bounce, and then they bounce, and they bounce. And before, I was having a really tough time like nailing down what made characters interesting to watch. And like, so I watched the show over and over again, and I was like, oh, they just bounce on everything, and that
the slight knee bend.
The slight knee bend bounce. And it really, that's the most valuable thing I've ever learned in animation is just add a bounce to literally everything.
It is funny because maybe you don't, but I always had imposter syndrome because I did not go to animation school. I didn't go to art school. I came from like a corporate job before I tinkered with the Weather Girls and went in a totally different direction. And you would be surprised by how much you learn just from picking up a little thing like that, just add a bounce before I think. Just by watching, you can just watch shows on television and pick up some tiny thing and it'll make a big difference. Or like the 12 frames per second trick that makes it look a little more traditional. There's sometimes very small things that make a big difference.
So, well, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for talking to me. I'm sure this was, heavily informative and inspirational for a lot of people out there. What, if people want to follow your work or get in touch with you, what is the best way what should they do? How should they do that?
If they go to our website, The Wattses, WATTSES, thewattses.com, we have our personal email addresses on there, so you can just email us directly.
Amazing. Well, thank you both so much for your time. I appreciate it so much, and hopefully we'll get a chance to do this again soon sometime.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks, Dave.
All right. Take it easy. See ya.
Bye.
And cut.